6 o'clock for the bylaws, basically when the chair is not here, which is Ms. Minidora Haynes. A motion needs to be made to appoint any of the committee members as the chair for the meeting. So basically we need a motion right now to have someone as today's chair.
I'd like to make a motion to choose any of the committee members except for me.
I make a motion that we choose Orly Navarro.
Second.
Let's get it over with. Any discussion?
Let's do it.
All those in favor for Orly Navarro as chair?
Aye.
Aye.
Navarro's chair of the meeting, so if you'd like to get us started.
Okay, it is 6 o'clock. Welcome to the United Bond Oversight Committee meeting. Today's date is Monday, November 16, 2015. For the record, we do have quorum. Please introduce yourselves. My name is Orlando Navarro, acting chair.
Roberto Rodriguez.
Lalo Uribe.
Fred Villarreal.
For the record, I believe we have quorum, staff?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess we go down to, I think I'm reading the right action items. Number A, discussion and possible action to recommend to the Board of Trustees approval of the purchase of a long-term storage appliance for the increased data performance and security for various district-wide technology applications.
Yes, good evening. The name of this Director of Technology Services. Again, we bring before you a recommendation for long-term storage. I do have a small presentation just to describe what exactly we are asking for. Basically, our current configuration right now in the district, we have two large storage devices that support the district for our student information system, for our finance information system, for our timekeeping system, along with our virtual server farm in which we currently host 146 servers onto the storage device. Our current storage devices now are starting to age out. They're about 8 to 10 years old right now. So we're facing issues in terms of space, power, warranty issues now because it was very difficult to get any warranty work done on these machines. And also we are now very limited for growth. In other words, we're about 90% to capacity. So any new programs or projects we take, our storage arrays will not be able to handle the load. So we did some research and we found that we can do an upgrade, do a replacement with a new technology. The new technology will consist of solid state drives, which of course is a much faster response, which will enable us to manage and control and allow room for growth for all of our 146 servers we have there, along with all the information systems we have currently running. More importantly, that this is a device that's probably 1/4 the size of our two storage arrays. Just to give you a size of example how big they are, they're probably about two of these, basically, if you put them together. The new device we're looking at is probably the size of about a 3x3 device. So we're reducing the space of our footprint in our data center essentially by 1/3. Along with that, of course, is power and of course allows us room for growth that we can able to support the district in the next coming years as well, onto putting additional resources onto that storage device. And that's the end of my presentation there.
This was part of the technology infrastructure upgrade that was looked at back in 2013 to put the bond package together. So funds will be available in the bond process.
Phase one. It's phase one.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? For the record, Erasmo Villarreal is in attendance. If there's no discussion, do I hear a motion?
The cost, Orly is $230,000.
That's correct.
It was budgeted, Eddie, right?
Yes, in phase one.
Make a motion to upgrade.
I'm going to second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Action item B, discussion and possible action to recommend to the Board of Trustees approval of the UISD prevailing wage scale.
This is a forerunner to this before. I believe you're going to present, Ms. Jackson. But we are required to have a prevailing wage scale for our construction projects. Of course, the majority of the construction projects we have right now are bond projects. We have two choices. We can either adopt the prevailing wage rate from the U.S. Department of Labor, which is not indicative of the wages that are paid in this area. I mean, they take wages from all across the country, New York and so on. Or we could do a survey ourselves and determine what the local prevailing wage rates are for projects of a similar nature. And that's pretty much what we've done. So,
Yeah, so we've taken a survey of our local contractors, our local district, the city, the county, and as well as the 2 districts, and then some of the private contractors, of course, the ones that we deal with, and then some of the home contractors, because that's what we had to choose from. And then this is pretty much the hourly rate that we came up with. That's pretty average and indicative of what's going on in the market today.
bottom line, for any contract, any construction contract that we let out, they cannot pay less than these wage rates for these trades.
Of course, they can pay above that, but they can't pay below.
Mr. Zuniga, where does this compare to, you mentioned earlier, state and national wages?
Well, typically, and correct me if I'm wrong, Enrique, but you're familiar with the RS means index? That kind of gives you an idea of what construction or trade should cost you per hour. In our area, it's usually 75% of what's in RS means for, a drywall or whatever. If it's $10 in San Antonio, for example, usually in our area, in our locality, it's about 75% of that. So it's like $7.50. So if you go with the U.S. Department of Labor, they're going to take the sheet rocker from New York, which is probably unionized and pays $18 an hour.
Yeah.
It's not from New York.
Or, I mean, well,
The Department of Labor takes the area, okay?
but they're taking
They
San
usually
Antonio.
take, this whole area. It's not just Laredo. It's gonna be the Valley, and it's gonna be Corpus, and it's gonna be San Antonio. So that was gonna be one of my questions. How do these compare to the Department of Labor wages?
These are below. These are below the Department.
How much below?
I would say about 20%, and just, some of them were very, some of them were okay, like if the sprinkler filter, it was like within range, but some of them it was about, our rates are 20% lower than the new wage rates. These rates are more comparable to the federal rates that were given out in 2004. The new ones that have came up substantially above that.
Who hires these?
Well, whatever construction company we let out a contract to.
Okay.
So typically, the general contractor cannot pay, let's say, a bricklayer $10 an hour.
No.
Not in our project.
Well, no, yeah, okay. So, but they can pay them 15.
That's
Correct.
correct.
And our contractors are aware of this?
Yes. As a matter of fact, these are going to be included in every contract that we let out. Actually, they're going to be going out in our specifications, right? We're
Correct,
requesting,
yes.
CSPs or design build or whatever. Those will be included in the specifications. This is a minimum they can pay.
I think at these rates, so I think looking at them, because I know there's some people that charge less, but I think looking at these rates, I think we should be able to get some of the best people out there,
I agree.
even though we are a little bit lower.
Right.
The best people in our area.
And that's the whole key in our locality.
Okay, if there's any more comments, if there's not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve this wage scale.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor? Opposed? One up, opposed? Oh, okay. Motion carries. Action item C, discussion and possible action to recommend to the Board of Trustees approval of a resolution project scope amendment and intention to reimburse certain expenditures with borrowing proceeds.
Oh,
This has to do with the expansion of the scope of work that we proposing to do at Alexander High School because of the additional acres that were bought east of the site. I know Mr. Angel had presented to you all last month what the plans were. We did take that to the board last week, and so this is just a formality of that is the intention of the board with the bond oversight kind of authority or approval, that we would reimburse ourselves And what we would reimburse ourselves based on this resolution is right in the middle where it says the net amount of bond projects to be funded is $2,198,000. That's the estimated amount that we think that the expansion of the bond projects themselves will go over the budget we have in the bond program. And the board did, through their action, or it'll be official this Wednesday, they are letting us use the savings from those two projects of Veterans Memorial and Gutierrez Elementary. They both have been closed out to offset some of the additional costs related to the expansion of the scope of the work done at that site. So this is kind of like a formality on the resolution. It's kind of just saying any board, any future bond oversight members, that it is our intention to reimburse ourselves from the savings gathered in future projects. As we're going on, we're hoping to come across more savings.
At this point, it will be funded through the general fund, so the last time we brought it to you, I think we indicated where we were changing the scope of work at Alexander because of the purchase of the additional acreage. And so all this is a resolution saying if funds are available towards the end of the bond program and all the projects that we said we're going to do are done, and if there's anything left over, we'd like to reimburse the general fund, the $2,198,151. The additional $1,922,000 of additional scope, that's going to be funded out of the general fund. We won't be requesting anything for that. Because that's other items that were not contemplated in the bond in 2013.
And they would be eligible.
We
It's a
chose not to
stretch.
include them, yeah.
Yes.
They weren't there. For example, the relocation of a softball field, the upgrade of the tennis complex to make it comparable to the other high schools, but none of that was in the bond program when we put it together, so we're just going to fund it out of the general fund.
And there is a budget
You
amendment.
could go to bond council to see if it would become an eligible expense, seeing it's kind of like, I mean, it doesn't have to come out of general fund. There's,
I mean,
Yeah.
Are they eligible type projects? Yes, they are.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
Yeah.
But,
So, I mean, that's,
the additional scope, the $2,198,000 are directly related to items that were included in the initial scope, which is the new Kate building, the new Fine Arts building, the ROTC upgrade. All those were part of it. Because we bought the land, we're able to move the Kate building to a different location. We have to extend the road, which means that's the part we want to reimburse ourselves for later if we get a chance. Additional parking lots, because we're displacing some by putting the Fine Arts where we're going to put it. That wasn't in the initial scope of work that was drawn up. So only those things that are directly related to items that were approved in the bond program is what we're asking for reimbursement.
Let's speed of service, you're trying to get this done.
Yes,
quickly.
so that
Yes.
we can start the whole bond.
We don't want to wait to see if anything's available down the road.
Thank you. Comments? If there's none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept or approve.
Okay. I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, action item D, discussion and possible action to recommend to the Board of Trustees approval of revised guaranteed maximum price for design and construction of United South High School 9th grade campus.
Just to start this conversation, the next four items are basically the same. These items, the 9th grade campuses and the middle school, I'm sorry, the next three at least, those are brand new designs. We don't have any prototypes for those. So initially, we had to let out a contract to the architect so they can start designing. We had no idea what it was going to be, what the cost was going to be down the road. And so that was one contract, and then of course we issued another contract to the design builder. We now know what the GMP was. We brought it to the committee, but when we brought it, we brought the construction GMP. Under design build concept, it should be a turnkey, which includes the fees. So what we're asking here is that you basically approve a revised GMP to include the fees that weren't included the first time.
well, wait a minute. How did the GMP come about if they didn't estimate that?
Well, no, we had an estimate. The point is, we had to design it. And once the design...
I understand, but once you approve a GMP, that includes everything. I mean, the
Well-
contractor's already told you this is what it's gonna cost you, and I'm taking, into consideration design.
But we let out a separate contract. We should have included the design fees initially with the design build GMP. When we brought it to you, as an oversight on our part, we did not include the fees that should have been included.
The design fees.
The design fees. All it was a construction GMP.
So that doesn't change.
No, that's not going to change. All you're doing is just adding the design fees into it. That's
So
all we're doing.
like for item D, what is the design fee?
We
I see
added,
34 million, but that's, which includes a contingency.
1.575.
that's correct, the 1.575.
Design service, you 1.575.
What was the GMP on this?
Hard to say.
The GMP is now,
Oh, before.
will you take out the,
What was the construction GMP?
34 million, 739, 192.
Well, that's the total now, isn't it?
That's now.
Yeah.
What was it before? Subtract. About
32,474? Is that what I'm looking at?
Yeah, 32.
Yeah, because that's what we'll just take out the 1.575.
33,164,192.
Yeah.
It was 33,124.
It's in your packet. Where you let it stop.
It was the 33,124, 192. You also take away
No,
the
take away the
design
contingency
contingency
allowance.
as well.
Basically subtract these two out of your, that's what was brought initially, which was the construction GMP.
Now, the design fees were or are in the contract, and they
Now.
were in the contract, but not on the, when we brought it to the
That's correct.
committee. But it's in the design build contract.
If you look forward to one for United High School ninth grade, that one's 550,000.
That's correct.
Correct, because it's the second
Right.
school,
Yes.
so
The
it's
full-
a prototype.
Yeah, the full fee, the design fee was gonna be 5.25% for the first one. Since it's a prototype, the other ones dropped to 1.2 or something like that.
Almost a third.
That's correct. So it's only the first one that has a full 5.25% of design cost. The other ones dropped down to 1.25% since it's already a prototype.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
And then
5.2% is
the
not
one
bad at all.
And then the one on Highway 359? At 850,000?
That's the first one.
That's
That's the first, when we had to develop the design from scratch.
Okay.
The second and third middle school will be much lower, about a third on the design fees.
All right. They'll follow the same logic. Smaller fee for the remaining campuses.
Okay.
So are we gonna take them all together? I was gonna ask the legal, should I open up all of them and then, or just do them one by one?
I say do one by one since it's 4 different items.
And they do-
Okay.
4 different amounts in student
Amounts.
schools.
For the record, Jose Angel Lopez has arrived.
If you'd like, I can read it out. We'd like to entertain, the committee to entertain a motion to approve the revised GMP for United South High School ninth grade, the amount of $34,739,192.
Mr. Zuniga, I guess we're gonna deal with each one by one, but considering all 4 of them, and I guess it's just for discussion, for legal, but are we running over budget?
No, we're not. All those are budgeted. The ninth grade campus, and that's, I'll go into discussion in a few minutes on that, but all the budgets are, all the projects are within budget, let me put it that way. Even though we initially given a certain budget amount to the designer and to the design builder actually, we actually ended up changing the scope of work. We requested to change the scope of work. For example, we gave $30 million the initial budget, and I think the ninth grade concept that we had included 1 gym. It was designed for 1,000 students, and what we requested is, add a second gym, increase the size, the capacity to 1,200 students, and add a dance studio for the fine arts students. So we requested a change in the scope of work. So it probably would have been around 30 million had we left it the
Well,
same.
that now makes sense. That,
So for example,
that now, yeah.
what I'm reading
Yeah,
on
it's a change,
the
really.
budget report,
Yeah,
I see a
it's like a
budget for
change order.
38.9, and you're asking for 34.7. So,
What was that, Orly? I didn't hear you.
on the bond oversight
Financial report.
financial report, if you look at United South High School, the original budgeted amount, I'm looking at the bottom of it.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Page 2.
It has 30, United South 38.9, and they're requesting 34, so,
The logic behind that is, we initially wanted 1,000 students. United High School already has 1,100 students.
Oh, that's great.
That's going, might as well make it for 1,200 students,
Yeah.
add the second gym
Okay.
and the dance studio. Now, on that one's, and we'll bring it back to the committee next month, but at this point, the design builder is asking, the architects are asking the design builder, look, the initial contract had a budget of 30 million, at 5.25, it was $1.575 million initial fee. It went up to 33 million. They're asking if we would consider revising it to increase their fees to reflect 5.25% of the new construction cost because of the scope that we requested. And so we're going to look at that, probably prepare it, and probably bring it to the bond oversight next month for your consideration.
For our
For
consideration.
this,
board
the
approval.
same,
Same project. This
wait a
one.
minute, I'm confused.
Okay. Again, when we had to issue a contract at the very beginning just to get the design started.
Right,
Right, we didn't know what it was gonna be, you have a $30 million budget, design a ninth grade for us. Well, we needed to let out a contract.
right.
With that $30 million budget, you know, once they designed it initially, and we issued a contract of 5.25% based on that $30 million budget. So they started designing it, we requested an increase in the scope of work,
Right.
1,200, second gym, dance studio. So that actually increased the construction budget to 33 million and change. So they're saying, you know, and actually they're requesting 130,000 more at this point. Based on the 5.25 of the increased scope, it's actually more than that they could be asking for, but they're not. And they're not asking for any change in the other projects, the other ninth grade prototypes. So we're going to run that past our superintendent one more time. We're okay with it. Put it down on an agenda item and bring it back to the committee for their consideration.
So this item that we're have before us right now is only the contingency allowance of 500,000 that you want to increase, right?
No, it's a design fee.
Yeah, the only thing we're adding is the 1.575 and the $40,000 contingency design allowance so far.
Okay, but you just said that you're gonna come back to the committee because you're gonna go ahead and increase
Well, to consider their request, because
They're on a percentage.
well, they're 5.2.
we initially gave them a budget of 30 million, and at
Yeah, the first
5.25%
portion is 5.2.
At 5.2, then the design fee is 1.5,
of 30 million.
right?
Right, that's 1,575,000. So
Okay.
that was a contract that was let. Well, because we increased the scope of work, now it's 33 million.
Okay, I got you.
And they're not asking for the full 5.25, they're asking for flat 1/3, that's what they're asking for. So we're gonna consider that, and if we think it's.
It's reasonable. It's reasonable you change the scope of work.
That's correct.
Yeah,
We'll bring it back to the committee.
it is
Then
reasonable.
again, the original budget was 38.
That's right.
Yeah, what do you call it, it jives.
Well, especially if you have a contract with somebody that says 5% of
It
the total,
calculates, yeah.
then you have a
Right
problem.
on. Okay.
So basically here, the administration's requesting that the Bond Oversight Committee make a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, the revised guaranteed maximum price for design and construction of United South High School 9th grade campus in the amount of $34,739,192, which includes a contingency allowance of $500,000, a design fee of $1,575,000, and a design contingency allowance of $40,000.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All's in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Action item E, discussion and possible action to recommend to the Board of Trustees approval of revised guaranteed maximum price for design and construction of United High School 9th grade campus.
And for the same reason, we're asking that the committee consider approving a revised GMP to include the design fees of $550,000 along with a design contingency allowance of $40,000, which would show the GMP at $33,714,743.
This is for United High School 9th grade,
This
correct?
would be for the United High School 9th grade campus.
And what is the percentage, Mr. Zuniga, on this?
This one is at,
A third of the 5.
1 point,
Little more than this.
Yeah, just a little.
1.69.
1.69, much less than the first prototype that we
okay.
Would you all like to hear a motion from legal?
Basically, administration is requesting that the Bond Oversight Committee recommend approval of the UISD Board of Trustees, the revised guaranteed maximum price for design and construction of United High School 9th grade campus in the amount of $33,714,743, which includes a contingency allowance of $650,000, a design fee of $550,000, and a design contingency allowance of $40,000.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Action item F, discussion and possible action to recommend to the Board of Trustees approval of revised guaranteed maximum price for design and construction of middle school number 10 at Highway 359.
For the same reasons we discussed on the 9th grade campus, a revised GMP to include the design fees for this project.
So basically, once again, administration is requesting that the Oversight Committee recommend approval of the UISD Board of Trustees of the revised guaranteed maximum price for design and construction of middle school number 10 at Highway 359 in the amount of $20,150,695, including a contingency allowance of $600,000, a design fee of $844,252, and a design contingency allowance of $40,000.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Action item G, discussion and possible action to recommend to the Board of Trustees approval of revised guaranteed maximum price for design and construction of elementary school number 28 at Highway 359.
Same reason.
Once again,
It's the same
Once
one.
again, administration is requesting the Bond Oversight Committee recommend approval of the UISD Board of the revised guaranteed maximum price for design and construction of elementary school number 28 at Highway 359 in the amount of $14,638,809.43, which includes a contingency allowance of $400,000, a design fee of $233,701.43, and a design contingency allowance of $25,000.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Action item H, discussion and possible action to recommend to the Board of Trustees approval of amendment to design build contract with Leyendecker Construction of Texas Incorporated for adjusting the guaranteed maximum price for providing installation of information technology infrastructure at elementary school number 28 at Highway 359.
Okay. In the past, what we have done with these construction projects, whoever company was approved by us to construct the building would do basically the brick and mortar, the HVAC, so on. Technology, alarms, surveillance, all those were done under separate contract. And we've been having issues over the last few projects because they keep basically kind of stepping on each other's toes, and you know, there's no coordination, scheduling when they have to run cabling for this. And so what I've asked the superintendent to do, and he's agreed, is we're just going to include all those trades under one. And one company, one entity will be responsible for a turnkey project. I don't want any more issues about, no, he broke the seating tiles, no, he did, well, we had to. That almost caused a real costly delay in Veterans Memorial. We were lucky to be able to get it off the ground. This way, the contractor, or whoever, the design builder, whatever company is chosen, they will handle all the trades, including the surveillance, technology cabling. I believe the only thing we're going to do is the servers. We're going to buy the servers ourselves, but other than that, all the cabling, all the, what do they call it, the endpoints, or
The access points.
the access points. Whatever contractor we hire will be doing all that, and they'll be responsible for it. Any warranty issues, we go straight to that contractor. We won't have to be going, no, it was their fault. But we had some major issues with that in the past.
Is that the reason, Mr. Sumida, we see a lot of the design-build procurement method for all these projects, or?
Design builds just tends to work well with us or for us. And usually it's because there's a strong general contractor in the area. And you really need that. And so that works well for us. You know, we're able to get a guaranteed maximum price when plans are like 40 or 50% done. And you know, almost basically start construction when the plans are 60% done. Right. Just a lot faster. It cuts out a lot of, you know, having to go out for bids under, for example, a CMAR contract. You know, they have to go out for bids and so on. And the design builder just gives you a guaranteed maximum price. We, of course, review bids that they receive. But for the most part, it just works well for us. It's faster, it's cleaner for us. It's been working out well for us this time around. And so these trades, we were doing this on the outside of that contract, and it was causing issues because sometimes we wouldn't talk to each other, and so we had some issues in the past. And so now there'll be an allowance in there to provide the surveillance, the data cabling and so on. And again, we look at all the bids that they procure. As a matter of fact, this is one of them. This one we already had a bid for $261,728 for data cabling. We saw the invoice, and we saw the 4 responses that they received, and they are recommending the 261. It's a good company. The other items, again, we'll be looking at all the bids that come in for them.
Right. And if it was broken down, is that what this one is from Rocky Mountain?
That's it.
That's their proposal?
Mhm.
And all the way from Colorado.
And they've been doing very good. They've done work for us already, and they've done well.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
And so the 959,000 is what, the overall? Hold on, you just, maybe it's here.
What we're doing is we have a solid bid, they have a solid bid already for the cabling, which is the $261,728. And we've guesstimated based on what we would spend on these other trades for the networking, access points, router and voice gateway, PA system, I forgot about that one, access control and surveillance controls, audiovisual projectors and sound systems, a projector in the gym, and cameras in the AC. We're proposing an allowance of $600,000. And that's kind of close to what we've been paying. And again, if that allowance is not used fully, that just comes back to the district. But we will be seeing all the proposals, all the bids that come in. You know, and again, since it's a guaranteed maximum price, if for some reason the bids go over that amount, we have a guaranteed maximum price.
The general contractor fee 10%, is that usually the percentage?
That's the standard percentage that we've been using, yes, sir. And then the 1.2% is just to bond it.
So at no point will ever exceed the GMP?
Nope.
But it could fall under it?
If it falls under,
Then
we get it back.
reverse.
I believe that's the way the contract reads. Am I recording?
I'm sorry,
Under the design bill, once they give us a GMP,
it's a guaranteed maximum.
and it comes in under that?
There is a provision in the contract for shared savings, but if it comes in over, it's at their risk.
This is gonna stop delays. I think we're all for that, you know. I did notice in the small print here that they say if a bond is required, it should be an additional $5,000. Will a bond be required?
I'm sorry.
That is from the subcontractor to the contractor, but if you look at, the contractor's already added their bond cost. If you look at Line Decker's breakdown, Line Decker went ahead and they put bond cost of 1.2%.
Oh, okay.
So
On the bond cost.
Line Decker's going to furnish their own bonds.
And again, as the design builder, I'm sure they're going to require bonding from their subs as well. So, but
Well, that's what Fred was asking. There's 5,000, get up, Fred?
It's $5,051, and he has 11,000, 1.2%. What is his bond cover?
But the 5,000 is for the 261. Yeah, so his bond cost is 1.2%, also including the $600,000.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's exactly. That would double, yes.
If there's no more discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, basically the motion language here is that the administration is requesting approval from the committee to recommend to the UISD board an amendment to the design build contract with Line Decker Construction of Texas Incorporated in the amount of $959,275.61 for providing labor, materials, equipment, and supervision necessary for the installation of information technology infrastructure and related systems equipment required for elementary school number 28 on Highway 359.
Chairman, I make a motion. Can you accept?
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Action item I, discussion possible action to recommend to the Board of Trustees approval of guaranteed maximum price for design and construction of Sunny Cedar Elementary School.
Good evening, members of the Bond Oversight Committee and members of the audience, administrators. We bring for your review tonight a guaranteed maximum price proposal from Line Decker Construction. This is for the third elementary school on the bond program. It will be located on San Isidro Ranch subdivision. on a property that was donated by Mr. Blackstone Dilworth on the San Isidro subdivision. This guaranteed maximum price includes the same specifications that we basically developed for Veterans Memorial Prototype School. We've made some minor modifications on the actual design based on input and feedback from teachers and administration, involving some curriculum instruction technology requirements. So that's already incorporated under this project. So that's what they're saying, that is electrical and architectural modifications to number 28. And they're taking that already into account under this guaranteed maximum price. It also includes all the site improvements, grading, paving utilities on plans that were developed back on March 29. The GMP that is being proposed is $14,736,009, contingency fund of $400,000, subtotal of $15,136,009. We did include under this GMP this time around the design fee, so that we have an overall and complete number for the guaranteed price, including design services, and the allowance for design of $25,000. We are including an allowance of $1 million for instructional technology. That's for all the infrastructure and equipment, similar to what we just reviewed on elementary school 28. Just rounded it off at $1 million. Again, it's an allowance. Once the contractor receives bids, we'll review them and proceed on an item by item. So the total amount comes to $60,394,710.43. We do have two alternates that we wanted to present to the committee for your consideration. Alternate number one is, now that basically all new schools are being designed at this time with LED interior lighting. Under the proposal that we have, the guaranteed maximum price, it's not included on the interior lighting. We're using fluorescent lighting, typically like this office type of lighting. The exterior lighting, we do have LED already, the same as Veterans Memorial and number 27, elementary 27. So that's already included. But there is an alternate to go to lighting, LED lighting fixtures. It would be an additional cost of $154,735. Now there is another option for LED lighting. Really around the past couple of years, the technology on LED lamps has really improved substantially, to where you really don't need to purchase the entire fixture. You can actually, if you have a fluorescent type of fixture like these ones, you can just replace the lamps. The technology is there now, like Sylvania lighting and electric Philips lighting. They have the lamps that can be adapted and installed on fluorescent type of fixtures. So that's another option that we're looking at as alternate number two, is to provide the retrofit. And we would install an LED lamp that would be replacing the standard fluorescent lamps. The cost for that option is $82,377, providing labor and materials. So again, those are two options that we're bringing to the committee for discussion.
And just as a point of interest, the district applied for and was granted a grant, well, not a grant, let me take that, part of the Lone Star program, where the state will lend us some money to do retrofitting for energy savings, energy efficiency and so on, that should be paid back through the realized energy savings. And of course, they actually monitor that, make sure we did save what they say we were going to save, and that should pay off the loan that the state advanced us. We're doing that district-wide with all our existing facilities. And so it would be something I think the committee really should consider, at the very least maybe alternate number two, which is the fluorescent fixtures, because they already come with it, and then just replacing out the bulbs for an additional $82,000.
Do you qualify if it's a straight out, if you go alternate number one, do you qualify, or does it have to be a retrofit?
For the Lone Star,
Right.
It's got to be a retrofit. It's got to be where you're making an existing facility more energy efficient. Those are the ones that qualify for it. It doesn't qualify for new construction.
So then going with alternate number two at $80,000, you're saying that the state would
We're doing that for existing campuses. Right now we have a project.
All these lamps here that you see.
you convert them over
Our
to-
alternate number two.
That's correct.
So
It comes
once you're
with
alternate number
a
two.
fluorescent fixture with the bulbs that are already in there, and then we just take them out to put in the new LEDs.
So what would be the advantage then for doing alternate number one? I know it's more expensive.
Alternate number one is actually the LED fixture.
Correct.
And they're basically disposable. Because once they go out, you have to take out the whole fixture, correct, and then replace it with another fixture.
One advantage also is that the fluorescent fixture typically has the ballast as part of the fluorescent fixture. When you change the lamps, you still have a ballast that will
Hopefully it
continue
doesn't go out.
operating. There will be more maintenance over the years. Now, the new fixtures, LED true fixture that comes as a package, does not have a ballast any longer. It's only the actual lamps, and there are different types of bulbs. They're not like this type of bulb. They're actually very thin, like the typical LED lamp that maybe you may purchase for your home. Efficiencies are pretty much the same, except that without the ballast, there's less maintenance. It does consume a little bit less electricity on the fixture because you don't have that ballast that is operating, like on a fluorescent lamp. So it's a little more efficient, but minimal.
So then the payback, if you will, for going with option one is way too long to realize during the lifetime of the actual fixture, so.
That's correct. Typically, the reason we're doing the retrofits district-wide through the Lone Star program, because these fluorescent lamps that we use throughout the district are 28 watts. We've got some 32 watts or 28 watts, the majority. With these LED lamps, every bulb is 16 watts. So you're reducing from 32 or 28 to 16 watts. So anytime the light is on, you're already saving, anywhere from 18 to 16 to 12.
45 to 50% of the usage.
Correct. Watts. So there are substantial savings. For example, in a typical elementary school, we're going to save on the retrofits between $25,000 to $30,000 per year directly just by having those lamps. If we keep operating the same hours as we normally do. On this 82,000, you're looking at probably 3.5 to 4 years payback. And you're correct. If you go with the actual fixture, you're looking at probably more of a 8 to 9 year payback. So, alternate two would be what we would recommend because it's really the better payback and less upfront investment.
And I think in the Lone Star application, or the study that was done so we could apply for it, I believe the LED, the retrofits had the shortest payback, I believe.
That is correct, yes.
It's a 4-year payback.
Mr. Chairman, I want to make a motion that, if there's no more discussion.
Just one more question. I know that we put IT allowance of $1 million, and then the original budget had technology infrastructure at 707
Well, it's IT
is one.
is one, and then there's also surveillance, there's also access controls and so on.
And the wiring, the cabling is included in here. So that was like $959,000 for the elementary 28.
So we're just saying basically it's 1.7.
No,
If I clump them together,
That's $1 million.
No,
It's $1 million.
$1 million allowance.
oh, so then it's just a $300,000 increase to what's already budgeted?
Oh, yes.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Okay,
There's a PowerPoint presentation.
okay. No, I understand.
On the actual GMP, just to provide information on the, compared to the RS meets, which we reviewed this guaranteed maximum price. I see the PDF on the bottom. No, maybe the.
So do we need a motion to approve the GMP and an alternate, or
Yes.
just the alternate?
Yes, it'd be the GMP with the alternate.
GMP
With the alternate.
With
alternate number two.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make a motion that we approve the total GMP of amount of $16,394,710.43 for San Isidro Elementary School number 29 with alternate number 2 to provide LED retrofitting in the amount of $82,377.
Second motion.
I have a motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to section 3, informational items, the current bond project status report. Mr. Alaniz.
Good evening, Bond Oversight Committee members, members of the audience. Ignacio Hernandez, Director of Construction, reporting the current bond project status.
First one will be Art. Get the drone.
We'll be starting with, and I have to report, we have 9 construction projects right now under construction. So the current bond project status report for Art Elementary School classroom wing addition and parking lot expansion. Okay, the construction projects today is 90% completion. There's no time extensions today, and June 30th, 2016 is the contractual completion date. The new wing area, the rebar placement is in progress, plumbing roughing as well. And as of yesterday, Friday, I believe, we had a section of the slab poured. So since these reports were prepared like 4 or 5 days ago, since then we have had a section of this concrete slab poured. But I am showing here some of the areas that were prepped before that pour. And again, this is an additional wing that we're going in between the gymnasium and an existing wing that we're also going to add to. Any questions on that part?
The area. Food production next?
Yeah, food production. The food production center freezer expansion is 21% complete, and no time extensions have been requested, and September 30th is 2016, the day of contractual completion.
Which was this, the food?
This is a food production in Southwood 20.
There's a delay because they're not put in the same order that you had it, so.
Oh, no, I apologize for that.
Okay.
Go ahead, you can continue.
All right, just following the description of the freezer expansion area, the north and south exterior walls have been laid out and connected to the existing building. The dam proofing is being applied on the interior side of the walls. The east and west walls are being laid out and wall openings have been set. The existing freezer opening connection has been laid out, marked, and is ready for eventual demolition to create the connection to the existing freezer. And as part of the exterior site work, the existing sidewalks have been demolished and left prepared for addition and new sidewalks. And this is where the addition is being done. On the eastern side, or half of the existing building. This project is moving very smoothly.
This is behind, actually, the existing.
This is behind the existing
on the eastern.
It's on the eastern side.
Of the,
yes, it's kind of off from the loop. Okay. But that's where we have our existing freezer, and that's where we're connecting to. Let's go to Clark Middle School Band Hall addition. This project is currently at 10% completion. No time extensions requested, and September 11, 2016 is the completion date. With this project, the instrument lockers have been removed from the west wall and relocated within the band hall as requested by us. The lockers are currently attached to the demolition and separation wall, and they're being moved so that we can make room for the actual expansion. Acoustical panels on the west wall have been removed and disposed of. Those will be replaced. The band hall expansion, the concrete pad has been poured and rebar is in place. That section right now is at the curing stage. And the exterior site work, existing sidewalks have been demolished and left prep for addition of new sidewalks around the addition. These are some interior shots where they're starting to leave it prepped for demolishing that wall. And this is the section that we're adding to the existing band.
Max, you're basically doubling the size of that structure, aren't you?
Well, just about doubling it.
Yeah.
Yes. And we were working with the existing conditions of the way the building was framed. So That's why you're gonna see maybe a lower seating, but it's still within the, it's within the area, and it is gonna help them with their program.
Yeah.
And again, this is some of the exterior work being done and prep for construction. Any questions on Clark? Okay. Elementary School 28, off of Highway 359. That project is at 20% completion, no time extension requested, and March 31st, 2017 is the completion date for this project. Okay, Area A, you see the legend at the bottom of the page. We have it into zones, A, D in front of the school, and C and D in the back. Area A, the northernmost section of the slab on grade of area, has been completed, and the extension of electrical conduit is being placed in the area, and contractor preparing for CMU construction. Areas B and C, the general movement and placement of field material has been ongoing, and the electrical under slab conduit is being placed in Area B, which is classroom area. General movement and placement of field beam material is also ongoing throughout the site. So we're happy to report that this project, we finally got some concrete out there, and it's approximately 500 yards that were poured. Any questions on 28? Okay, Troutman Elementary School, Classroom 1 addition and main building renovation. This project is 8% complete. And at the time of this report, a section has been poured as well. But no time extensions have been requested, and the completion date, we have August 2016 for the classroom wing, HVAC in the restroom portion, and December 31st, 2016 for the administrative offices and the closure of the breezeway. Okay, overall, the site is being maintained in proper condition. The slab fill has been placed, compacted and covered with paper barrier, plumbing rough in and been placed, and reinforcing bar installation in progress. The rebar started to be placed in slab areas, and again, all these areas are inspected by our consultants before any concrete is poured, so we do get the pre-pour inspections. Protections around the site building area, allowing exiting from the existing classroom when they're also maintained. That's a barricade that you'll see that we have to protect the public in the existing classroom. Okay. And this is the addition that is going on the southern end of the existing campus. We got some hollow metal frame doors already being delivered to the site. This is one of the barriers. So again, a section has been poured at that slab, for that slab. Any questions for Troutman?
I believe last month we brought an information item to you where they've approved the addition of the new gymnasium. Again, that one's going to be funded through general fund. There's a resolution if proceeds are available after the end of the Zillion program.
It reimburses.
No reimburses. Yeah.
The next project is a middle school site where it's 5% complete, and this is basically site work. No time extensions have been requested, and March 31st, 2017 is the completion date. And the project site continues to be excavated and fine grade. Okay, going on to Newman Elementary. School cafeteria expansion and canopy enclosure. That project is approximately 9% complete, and no time extension requested. September 8, 2016 is the completion date. At the new kitchen addition area, work in progress includes exterior site work. The building foundation is being prepped, including installing the plumbing line, sewer, grease line, and floor drains at the new kitchen addition, southeast side of the school. The batter boards are being installed, and the rebars are being tied to the beams. And No work has been started at the new canopy, that's at a later date. This addition is immediately east of the existing building. Right off the street where the service drive to the kitchen facility is. I'm reporting United South's 9th grade campus. This project is approximately 29% complete. No time extension requested at July 15, 2016, the completion date. At this project, as you can see with the legend at the bottom or right hand of the page, various areas are being worked on from CMU wall placement and steel structures being placed, also in progress, ductwork, installation of hollow metal frames, and that's pretty standard throughout the entire building. Again, we have our consultants making their weekly site visits and reporting to us. And these are just snapshots of different views, different angles of the building. You get to appreciate now the spaces now that more CMU wall. The second story is being framed, and you get to see the actual scale of the structure. And finally, United 9th grade campus. 27% complete, no time extension, December 10, 2016, completion date. And this project is just about at the same percentage completion as the United South, with different areas being worked on, interior and exterior. That concludes the report.
Just out of just discussion amongst the board, it seems like every month he's going to be showing us he shows us these presentations, but your percentage change is minimal every month because it's only 30 days of construction, so you don't really do that much. Would it be more practical to do every other month and get an update so there's a little bit more advancement in the construction side of it, or is it required to do it every month simply because 30 days they don't really...
Especially if there's, which I'm sure you've had, like weather delays or rain or anything like that. It may increase 2%.
Holidays.
Right, something like that. I mean, because he's going to be getting more and more schools coming up, and then 2%, 1%, 3%.
Oh, definitely. Well, this is almost a day-to-day type of update.
Sure.
And
but for the board's purposes, I don't know if we go every other week, he comes in and does a presentation that way.
Yeah.
We can see it a little bit more.
And I can appreciate the effort from the administration.
Sure.
To keep everybody well informed, transparency. I love it, but you're right, especially when they get more schools on board, it may be more feasible to maybe get a every other month report, and that way we can see.
I think I agree with all that, but I think that as like Oli was saying, as more projects come on board, I think we ought to do a 90-day review of each project, because 60 days is not going to get you very far. But 90 days, you got a little bit of substance, not, a little bit more.
And that's fine, but, we do it a 90-day. The one from United, as a matter of fact, is due in a year from now. So we'll see United 3 times between now and then.
Well, definitely. No, most of these jobs, the bigger jobs are you see more
And if you have a significant
Progress.
change in one that you want to bring to
Yeah.
the,
We can
Exactly.
schedule it once a quarter, and then if there is something significant we'd like to share with the committee, we'll definitely bring it to the committee.
Unless the construction goes much quicker than anticipated, then, and I guess we'll leave that up to you guys, but
or a bad storm that cut us back and we're behind and something that you want to kind of update that there's.
We'll still maintain the same in-house,
Of
we'll
course,
still
of
maintain
course.
the same, monthly updates, but we'll be happy to show you.
Is that okay?
90 days or whatever you decide.
sure.
Do we have to take action on something like that?
We don't have to take formal action, the administration will just go off your recommendation.
Yeah, these are informational items to begin with, so yeah, definitely we'll do it now once a quarter.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Item B, bond program financial report. We want her here every meeting.
I was about to ask that.
We want weekly reports.
You want to hear once a quarter.
Bi-weekly, please.
And then I was gonna tell you, you can only spend money every 90 days, not every day. Okay, just to kind of lead you to the summary page, from last month, we just did some adjustments within the items with design fees. I know you've been seeing a lot of that. Probably the biggest change from last month was in the additions and renovations area. We did do the contract for Clark Middle School, and you saw the way it's advancing. Mr. Z, you want to go toward the bottom. Now, you do see that there's a negative amount there, and I did a little review what got approved. We did add some additional scope of work there at that area that we didn't foresee when we were planning the bond program. So that is a little over budget right there. It's not a lot, we can be covering that from other bond projects as they come. And then also the other one, the Newman Elementary, I also researched that, and we did expand the scope of the area, the square footage of the cafeteria that we're expanding there. And so you'll start seeing some of those things, especially in the smaller programs. Yes, so I think, especially we even haven't, and we know it's very little, we haven't even talked about the interest income that's going to be coming from these bonds. I mean, we have we have right now over $100 million in our coffers right now that hasn't been expended out. It's been issued out in contracts, but that doesn't mean we've expended that much. But if you can see the bottom line there, we have issued out or expended $131.8 million. We did issue $200 million of bonds, so we're on track. We expect that probably within the next month or two, you'll start seeing a GMP for the San Isidro Elementary, the number 29. That'll hit the financials here, and eventually the Highway 359 East Middle School also will be getting a GMP for that soon too. So that will hit these numbers as well. And I think staff is also working on the GMP for the Alexander ninth grade. So those will be hitting the bottom line real soon. And you'll start seeing the Alexander renovations, also the CMAR contract, make its way to this financial report as well. So you'll start seeing these monies really start being spent a lot faster. So I don't know if anybody had any specific questions on these items.
I get just when you're in a negative and you're going to transfer fees or funds from like a savings or whatever you transfer over, are you going to create a line item so that you can kind of see that happening, or how would you do that?
What we did last bond program when we expanded the scope of some projects, what we did for the oversight was we kind of left it in this format so we could see. So right away you could see like, hey, we did, So what we started doing was like we started identifying interest proceeds, or we actually transferred funds from our general fund. Like let's say for United High School, since it took like 3 years to really build it, we were able to transfer from general fund about $2 million for the 3 years that it was being built. And so we actually added to the proceeds there. So it kind of left it simpler just to let those accounts go overdrawn. I know that's bad. We don't like to see overdrawn.
Yeah, it's better that way.
But it kind of, leads you to an explanation right away. Like, yes, like let's say for Newman, we did expand the scope. So as we, like let's say for the Alexander, I'm probably going to let that go overdrawn, knowing that at some point I'm either going to have to cash flow from general fund or we will find it from future savings. But I'm speaking with Mr. Zuniga, just us accountants, right? we will allow that to go overdrawn cash-wise, the additional work that we are letting, that we're handling from the bond program. So again, once we give that CMAR contract out, you'll probably see a negative there. But in our world over here, we're gonna be cash flowing it.
Right.
Okay.
So I think it's just so many moving parts and it kind of needs it a little cleaner, even though it's not a good thing.
No, but it's more transparent like that. You leave the
Yes,
negatives where the
if
negatives are.
we
and just-
intentionally went overdrawn, you know, we just missed the budget or we expanded the scope of the project itself. And I think in those two cases we did, I did some research and we had brought the items, so. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the open agenda. Do we have anybody who signed up? Oh, excuse me, no open agenda. And set the date for the next committee meeting. I guess Monday, December 14th is a month from now, and we're just tentative unless.
Is the district going to be open?
The district will be closed from December 21st through January the 1st. We'll resume operations January 4th.
We'll get one in. We'll get one in. We'll get a meeting in before they.
No, not the 21st.
I already got a motion the 21st.
We didn't have anybody sign up for public comments, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Good job, buddy.